Welcome to Panathafan International Podcast. We've got the Aussie contingent today. Right before our international break, we have Panathafan, Nick, and myself discussing the events of week. So this one's a big one. There's plenty to cover. Let's get straight into it. Let's start off with the Rennes review. We did lose 3-1. But let's discuss our thoughts, reactions to the game. Who kicks it off?
Go Panathafan.
All right. Interesting game. And I say interesting because I wasn't too happy throughout that second half. But definitely, we said it a few podcasts ago, one of the more disappointing games we watched. And I think it was the Maccabi game. And this now surpasses that in terms of the frustration of watching that game. And look, it goes without saying, when you're playing against 10 men and it's 1-1, to come out and lose 3-1, it's just not acceptable as a result. And we definitely should have done a lot better than that. That's stating obvious. But the most frustrating part is in that first half, leading up to when we equalised the penalty, and we got that red card. I thought they were showing some good glimpses of how we were playing. We were starting to control the ball. We were starting to create some opportunities. And after that red card, our game fell away. Rennes controlled the game in terms of how they wanted it to be played, which is defend and play on a counter. And I thought Rennes played it perfectly. They had the perfect game, and we were just absolutely ordinary. And I'm happy to break it down with you boys a bit more in terms of where I saw it going wrong. But overall, that was a very, very frustrating game to watch.
Yeah, it went wrong everywhere. Everyone had a bad game for me except Ioannidis. He's the only one to emerge from this with any sort of credit. And the thing is, I don't think the players are to blame for this loss. I mean, I love Jovanovic as much as everyone, but I think this loss falls squarely on his shoulders. As I said, it went wrong right from the outset. Our MVP, our main man, probably among our best players, Brignoli, to make an uncharacteristic mistake, that set the tone. And after that, though, when it was 11-on-11 for the first 30 minutes after the goal, so what's that, about 20, 25 minutes, in my opinion, we were the better team. We were playing some good stuff. We were growing into the game nicely. The penalty goal was coming. I mean, Forti was just doing what he does best, running the channels, being a nuisance, occupying the centre backs, pulling them apart out of position, and that's how he got the penalty. But after that, when it comes out, as we said, no excuses. We've got to go on and win the game from here against 10 men. We I don't know. We went in our shell. As you said though, we fell into their trap. Teams these days are so well drilled. They do a lot of training 10-on-11. So Rennes knew exactly how they wanted to approach it. They wanted to play into the spaces, and we gave them lots of space. And then they knew it was coming, and we left ourselves too exposed, too open at the back. I think it might have been Sterg. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Sterg that said, why are we playing Ruben Perez when Aral is suspended for the league game? Aral would have been a better option in those circumstances, but everyone except, as I said, everyone except Ioannidis had a poor game.
Yeah, I might go a bit in depth with what I saw from the game. Let's kick it off. I think from the start, I did not like that lineup whatsoever. Completely hated that. We saw Bernard on the wing, and I probably say every single podcast, it's shocking. Like, don't do it. Please don't do it. I think we've seen this season, he's better off as a 10 rather than the winger. He's had more impact on games. He went missing. He had that one shot that flashed wide, I believe, but nothing else. He was quiet. He played on the right wing as well. He's typically deployed on that left wing, but he played on the right wing. Seren deployed as a 10, did not work. He just did not create anything. He's more suited for that number 8 role. The starting lineup was those two. It just didn't work. We've seen those players in those kind of positions before, and it just doesn't work. We saw. I'm putting this loss on Jova more than anything. We saw Mancini come on deployed as like a right wing back, like a right back. that didn't work either. He was just didn't look comfortable in that position as well. We'll start from the start. What I saw from the game, 3-1, disappointing. They got that garbage free kick with a dive. Should have not been.
Yeah, true.
Should have not
True.
been.
Mm.
And then I don't know, Brignoli just misjudged the bounce of the ball, anything. It just was a fairly straightforward free kick right at Brignoli, and it just went underneath his legs. Just couldn't believe it. It looked like our game plan from the start was already gone. We seemed to dominate after that with at 1-0 down. Rennes were just defending for their life, playing dirty, a lot of non-calls going our way, a lot of pulling the jersey, especially on Palacios, on Forti. Then the red card, the penalty, that was the correct call. The fact that it was in front of the referee and he just waved play on, had to be called back to VAR, was a head scratcher. Considering a lot of the calls that were happening in that game, I think Rennes was playing quite unsportsmanlike. We saw a fair few dives, and I'll come later to the penalty that they had, but it was a clear red. They took out Forti and a clear goal scoring opportunity. Correct call. Then after that, when it was 10-11, Rennes just sat back. They just sat back and just hit us on the counter. So the way they made that 2-1 was Ruben was very disappointing. He was very disappointing. He and Mladenovic, I'm pointing the fingers at them too for that conceding that goal. Ruben Perez, all game was predictable in his passing. It was frustrating to watch. He just gave it straight to the Rennes player in front. They hit us on the counter, but if anyone watches the video, any highlights, you just see Mladenovic just jogging while his winger, that right winger, was about 5-10 meters ahead. Their striker pulled the ball back to their center mid, and he just spread it straight to the right. Once that happened, Mladenovic actually saw what was happening. It was too late. Jedvaj had to go across and try and stop that attack, but they got like a lucky deflection that just fell in the path of their striker who tapped it in. We didn't have noticeable chances as well. When we played against 10, we just looked lost. We looked confused. Juricic played the whole second half. There seemed to be a little bit more midfield management. He did seem to get more involved in the game, but Palacios, purple patch, he's been playing well, was frustrating as well. He just was trying to do too many things, take on players. He was just ineffective as well. He got switched as well once Bernard came off. He got switched to at the second half, he got switched to the right wing. Just nothing was happening for him. Then on the third goal, the penalty, which I'm going to come to, I think that was, once again, a bad call. You got a player and someone the mold and physique of Matic to fall down like he had been shot. From a Vilhena tackle. It was just shocking. It was absolutely shocking to have been awarded that. If the referee waved play on, there's no way VAR would have given that a penalty. The fact that it didn't go to VAR, anything like that, the fact that the referee made that judgment call is why they got that penalty, in my opinion. And it was just disappointing. Then at 3-1, we decided to make all our changes from that 70th minute. And it's a constant thing that Jova likes to do. It seems like he times his subs at a certain minute, not be reactive or try and change the game himself. He makes these calculated subs at certain times, and it was just too late. It was just too late. Even at 2-1, straight away, get your players on the field, change something up. You're down 2-1. They scored within like 3 minutes again, and then by that time, Sport, I think, only had one chance, like a semi-decent chance right on the edge of the box, but nothing notable after that. The game was gone. Vayanidis didn't also have the best of games. He's been magnificent, but that game he was just not well. I thought Bart and Jedvaj did well, despite us conceding 3. 2 were, one's from a free kick and one's from a penalty. You can't blame either for them. And the second goal was the counter, which I'm pointing the finger at Ruben and Mladenovic. Yeah, I didn't think those two were bad. I thought they were quite solid. On the online, want to point something out. Vilhena is copping a lot of flack. Majority of Bale supporters turning on him. I'm not. I'm actually going to defend him because I think he's a different player from what Seren is. So Seren's more of a ball playing number 8. Vilhena is a different player. He plays a different role, covers so much yards. His role is to press the players, press the opposition players. The amount of space he covers is, you have to watch his off-ball movements. I know when you watch a game, you look at, where the ball transition, everything like that. But if you just focus on him, he's constantly running, covering right back position, going in defense. He was almost like the 5th man on that counter-attack. He rushed back on that threat. He's up forward. He's coming in, filling in the gaps. What he does is, if you watch him as well, a lot of the attack somewhat starts through him in terms of the direction. So he'll come in, receive a short ball, change the direction, and offload to help create that attack. Panathinaikos didn't sign him to do something special, to do wonder goals, assists, anything like that. He's there as almost what Kurbelis was. Kurbelis never did anything special. If you watch Kurbelis' game, he was a passionate leader on the field. He wasn't technically gifted. He didn't do anything special in all the games. He was just a leader on the pitch. That's what probably made his role a little bit more significant. But in terms of what they both do, they're very similar players. They just there to press the players, be that more of a gap stopper. And I can't fault what Vilhena does, because that's the kind of game that he does, and it's the kind of game that Ivan brings him in to do, and it's the job that he's doing. He's pressing everywhere. He's just doing a lot of the running for, someone like Ruben, who doesn't have the legs to do that lot of workload. So I think there's a lot of, negativity towards his way, and I don't think it's justified whatsoever.
On Vilhena, I agree with most of your points. One thing, though, is I'll probably point out, which may disagree with some of the comments, Sturge, is that he was a Dutch wonder kid at Feyenoord. And if you go on YouTube and see the highlights, he's scoring some spectacular goals and doing some amazing stuff. So you watch that and you go, well, we're going to get a flashy player. It's going to carry the ball in a beautiful way and create opportunities and score wonder goals. And that's what gets us excited as fans. And you're right, though, in terms of that's not the player who he is today. But when we make these signings, and it must be Greek media doesn't help, right? And I'm sure you would agree. They talk about these guys as being the next best thing since Messi come along, and they show these YouTube clips from 7-8 years ago and try to make it out like it's the same player today. And I think that's where the expectation comes from, in my opinion. But I can't single him out as being the bad one on the field, because of what Nick said. I struggle to, outside of footy, I can't think of anyone really I can say had a good game. And I think, Sturge, your point, Bart and Yedvai, actually, I can't really fault them too much, because Yedvai actually made it across for that second goal and got his body on the line. It was just an unfortunate deflection that meant it still ended up going in. So he actually did his bit as defender, got back and covered enough, if I recall. But overall, it's crap, absolute crap all around. And yeah, I agree, Nick. Ivan.
The worst we've played under. Like, we've had worse results. I mean, we had, remember his first half of his first season, we started off poorly. There were some really bad results there, but they weren't his players. The majority, he still needed time to integrate, implement his styles as well, get his ideas across. We're in our third season of Jovanovic now, and essentially his squad, and just I felt empty after it. That was the most deflated I'd been in the last 3 years.
But I think Sturge hit the nail on the head. The lineup just didn't seem to make sense, and I think it played out that way, didn't it? And I think Sturge, I recall you called out the lineup before the start of the game, and your frustration around it. And pretty much played out that way. But I was thinking about the style of play and the nature of the game, and I think about the Greek Super League when we come up against these teams that are all out defence, like Kifisia, which was our morning. And I think that Rennes ended up playing with the 10 men. They played the same style as Greek Super League teams, but they're a 10 times better club and have 10 times better players. So when they can defend better and create a wall better than these Greek teams that are mid-table, and then they can counter-attack better than just about any other team in our league. So when we struggle to score against Kifisia, as an example, and we may concede one with the odd chance here and there, times that by 10 if a team like Rennes, I'll go, okay, now I can see why we struggle so much, because we're not set up for that sort of play.
Yeah.
That's
Against
that's been said for years. I mean, these top 5 leagues, they play week in, week out against Omazares, and we have to play against the Yananas, the Lamias, Kifisia, the lot, Asteras, the lot. It doesn't help the Greek clubs in Europe.
Yeah, I agree to an extent on that point, but Rennes isn't doing too well. They lost at home against a team in the relegation zone, so that's the frustrating thing. I don't think they're a good team. I think they're a step you're right. They're 10 times better than the Super League teams. They're just more effective and efficient on the counter. They had to sit back versus us, even when they were 1-0 up with 11 players. They had to sit back. They weren't doing anything. They were just sitting back, and they were playing at home as well. So
The goals came at the opening goals, both early goals. That sets the tempo. That came at good times for him. If that went 0-0 half an hour in, maybe it's a different game.
I agree. They weren't impressive at all. Over the 2 legs, they weren't impressive. They were efficient, yes. Impressive as a good team, no. Definitely not. And it's what I saw from Rennes against us reflects in the French league where they're positioned. They're like 13th in the French league. So for me, I was pissed off after the game. The way we played, just having no answers, the result, everything was just frustrating. But
the big thing is what you said, not to create a single big clear-cut chance, 11 on 10. That's the big one for me.
we just look lost. We just look lost going forward.
We created more chances in the first league at El Foro than we did in the second league where they had 10 men.
This return leg was much worse.
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating. And in the other game, Villarreal came from behind to beat Maccabi 2-1. Maccabi scored, reasonably towards the end of the first half, I believe, thereof. And then Villarreal scored 2 late goals, like 80 and 84th or something like that, to clinch the win. So,
Did you see, though, Maccabi Haifa missed like an open net, a sitter in stoppage time to draw it up.
Didn't even bother watching that, but what that means for us, that result, it means it boosts our chances to stay in the Conference League, depending on what talk about the next game. That result helps keep Maccabi on that 1 point, which they earned against us, and it's just going to make an interesting next 2 match days.
Let's imagine, if we're talking likely scenarios, we're going to be massive underdogs in Spain. Rennes will be the overwhelming favourites against Maccabi Haifa as well. Let's say the 2 favourites get up, they'll clinch their top 2 spots. Then it takes us to match day 6. We host Maccabi Haifa at Leoforos. A draw is enough to get us into 3rd in Conference League. They'll need to beat us because they'll get in level on points with us, but they'll have the superior head-to-head. So it'll be a game that we can't lose if it plays out that way.
It all depends on how serious they're going to take the game, especially with what's happening. The pause in their league, everything like that. There's a bit of context there, so it just depends. So, got about a month until we find out our fate there.
And as we mentioned this morning, it's going to be amongst a very busy period for us by then. A lot of football to be played after this international break.
Yeah, our schedules in December and January are not kind. Involves a cup game with Olympiakos, 2 European games. So there's a lot happening December and January. So yeah, not a lot of sleep for anyone from Australia watching the games. But yeah, a lot is going to happen considering signings, everything like that, player personnel, player departures, things like that. So interesting December and January to see our ambition.
I think Panathafan wanted to say something. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, so we're on 4 points, right?
Yep.
They're on 1 point. We have 2 games to go. They're playing Rennes in Cyprus. That's their home ground, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And they've got to travel to Spain for Villarreal in their catch-up game, which I can't see them winning that either.
No.
Oh, that's right. They got the 1 game in hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they, as Sterg said, Gala Gracia over there in Spain for them.
So let's say they, hypothetically, right, they win 1 and lose 1. Let's say they beat Rennes in Cyprus and they lose against Villarreal. They're equal points with us. So then is it goal different? Let's say then we draw in Athens in that last game. Is it head to head? Obviously, we're equal.
Goal difference.
Then it's goal difference. Okay, that 3-1 loss is going to hurt then, isn't it?
Lucky we beat Villarreal 2-0. That wipes it out. But no, we're still on -1. You're right. Yeah.
Still on -1. Yeah, but they're on what? They copped how many from Rennes?
3 from Rennes.
Yeah, 3-0. You're right.
3. So they're -4 at the moment.
But they're still fit to play out in these next few games. So too early to be talking goal difference yet.
And that's the thing. So they're not getting much football because I don't think they're playing in their domestic league, and they're going to be playing in the European game. So on not, match fit sort of legs. Don't know what's happening with their legs. If it's moving to Cyprus, if it's moving to another country, not too sure. But they're not getting too many games themselves. So benefit for us, obviously, but not for them.
So is it fair to say that based on our conversation, boys, that we think we're probably aiming for 3rd now and top 2's less likely?
Yeah, I think 3rd's the priority at the moment. Secure the Europa Conference. Obviously, a lot can happen in Spain. We'll talk later on about the Villarreal preview because that will be our next game after the international break. But yeah, I think the aim at the moment would be 3rd.
3rd's fine. Right? We all said it. Every Panathinaikos fan all along. 3rd is nothing wrong with it. I personally just wanted us to be ambitious, go for 1st or 2nd and really attack it. Realistically, 3rd's more our level. Conference League. On our day, we can do a lot of damage in the Conference League.
I think I said 2nd. 2nd was achievable, still is. But yeah. I'd rather us in the Europa League, just financial benefits, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine though, you get 2nd and you got to play that Champions League group of death. Borussia Dortmund, AC Milan, Newcastle, PSG. You play one of them. Imagine a scenario like that. I really want a big European run. I want us going deep into the season.
Next year.
Next year. But the catch is what Sterg said. The financial incentive that doesn't stack up compared to Europa.
Yeah, it's significantly less money. All right, let's go to the next topic. There was big decision on the appeal of Olympiakos going to the courts. So what occurred was Olympiakos appealed the court decision of the 3-0 loss and the -1 point deduction, as well as the 2-game ban. In Greece, there was a lot of chatter, especially amongst Panathinaikos fans, that they believed that the Olympiakos appeal would be successful based on just the current mood, obviously speculation on who the judge was, just a lot of that Greek chatter. What the appeal and the judge ruled of the appeal was that there was a player injured And they deemed it a significant injury, and that obviously was the basis of upholding the decision. And from there, Olympiakos, once again, not happy, want to take it to CAS.
Do you think they will? They said they will. Do you
Said
think they will?
CAS,
Do you think they will?
yes, because
You think they will?
I think they will, and I want them to go to CAS.
They're going to get proper embarrassed, though.
I want them to go to CAS. I've said this. I want them to go to CAS because the appeal was embarrassing for starters. To go to CAS with a player that's still injured is just head scratcher. They obviously, and I'll talk about the full fallout from this as well, because it goes deeper than just the appeal as well. So we'll start off with the facts. Olympiakos terminated their relationship with the Metropolitan Hospital. I can't remember the reasoning. They believe they weren't happy with, I think, the report or just the medicals. Something got to do with Juanca. They found that obviously that they were offended by that, and they terminated the relationship that they had. Also, this one is the dumbest one of all time. They fired their long-time doctor because he helped Juanca. Doctors take what's called the oath of Hippocrates.
Yeah. I'm from COS. I know all about it.
Which is to help. A doctor is to help, no matter who the individual is, that they are to help them. Olympiakos decided on that basis to terminate the doctor. These people are inhumane. They've got no shame, and now they want to go to CAS. I was begging for them to go to CAS because I don't know what jurisdiction CAS has, if they can enhance or recommend an enhancement of a punishment, because Olympiakos got off lightly. We've gone through the incidents on our last podcast, the Australian contingent, where we've talked about what other teams copped in terms of points, penalties, everything like that. Olympiakos got off very lightly compared to other punishments.
And they're still whinging on top.
They're whinging on top. Their coach came out.
Did you see that?
He came out and said today, Olympiakos won on the pitch.
So what did he say?
Yeah.
Olympiakos won on the pitch.
I'm not quite sure how that works.
1-1 is drawing is the new winning for them.
The only thing I saw was us battering them and being unlucky not to be up by 2 or 3 goals by then.
It's just something in the water in Berea. It's just something in the water. Those disgusting acts, terminating the relationship with our hospital, the firing of the doctor, believing 1-1 is the new winning. It's just something's in the water.
Alafuzos got it spot on. They're spoiled brats, spoiled. The -1, and they're complaining. We, as you said, we don't need to go in detail about what we've copped in the past. It's all been said before. Everyone already knows it. And if they go to CAS, as you said, I hope they can increase it. They'll get embarrassed. Imagine CAS having to hear that Karapapara's fit for a start. I'm still stuck on that.
I think they can only recommend. I don't think they can enforce any suspensions. I think they can only recommend, because they should be just lucky. They should just move on from it. What they're doing is just dragging on an incident, and by appealing it, they got fans to Olympiakos Park, and their fans got to witness an embarrassment and an absolute hiding that PAOK game. And with that, mind you, not a single crotida was thrown.
Bingo.
Even when PAOK scored right in front of gate 7 and celebrating. Why
Bingo.
crotidas? Aren't they safe? We've been told they're safe. They don't injure anyone. Why is there no more crotidas?
Because the punishment is a deterrent.
No, I was going to say it's because the fan who celebrated the goal was not an Olympiakos fan.
I heard that too.
Yeah, they found the 21-year-old who threw the object after celebrating the goal, but he's not an Olympiakos supporter, which is what they said.
Yeah.
Imagine Cass hearing all this with pizzas and doctors and non-Olympiakos supporters and Karapapara feed, and Oh,
doctoring medical reports and asking
yeah,
the doctor to change the wording.
English.
It's fantastic. It's entertainment at its best. It it's I don't know if you boys ever watched The Simpsons, but Dr. Nick Riviera, who's
Yeah.
he's yeah, that's who they need. They need someone who's just like he's got the paperwork, but he doesn't act like a doctor at all. Just sign away, boys. Just give us what you need.
And for me, there was a powerful headline that was done by SDNA, and I'll probably go a little bit into it. They said this wasn't just a win for Panathinaikos, this was a win for the country of Greece. Why I find that significant is it just illustrates the stranglehold that Olympiakos had on the court systems, being above the rules and the law, and that stranglehold is now disappearing. They didn't win the league last year. We've seen Bulk win it recently. They will average Olympiakos, and once again, they're in a fight, a four-way fight at the moment. Us being 4 points clear, they got Copter hiding from Bulk. They're losing their grip on absolute control and power of the Greek league, and I think that's where I see the significance of that headline as well. That they're no longer in control. That it's almost an equal playing field finally.
That's right. That's right.
It's been a few years now without Champions League money as well for them too, and I think having missed out for the last few years, it's probably financially brought them back closer to the playing field as well.
That last transfer window last season as well destroyed them. That set them back big time. They're still recovering from that. New coach now as well. My 2 cents also is that Marinakis has his sights set on the big dollars and the glitz and glamour of the Premier League. I've been saying that for a while. That's just my opinion. Who knows if that's true or not? That's just how I see it.
Yeah, and I feel finally justice is being done and just being served, and Olympiakos fans are not used to it. They're used to getting rulings their way, results, favorable decisions their way. We've seen obviously with Baltakos and everything that's been going on behind EPO, or the Greek Super League, that decisions are not going their way. They're a lot more angrier, and it's masking their problems on the field as well.
You're right, and you know what? Now that you've said that, that's probably why they're doing all these appeals and CAS and all that to cover up paper over the cracks.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. What I was going to say though, think about what we've been scarred of over the decades. That played a role in us thinking. I thought they were going to get off because A, the judge, B, they had a crowd at Bulk. If they're going to have a crowd there, I know they can, but I thought, someone knows something. And what we've had to experience as a fan base, what they've gotten away with essentially murder. Remember that Cisse incident?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what scarred us all.
I think there's images as well. Simao getting kicked as well, and nothing happened. So that's why I'm saying it's becoming more of an equal playing field in terms of the influence in Greek football. And yeah, I think that headline is accurate if you look into it. So it was a good result, obviously, that the appeal was obviously dismissed and the original decision was upheld. Praying Olympiakos goes to CAS just so we can just enjoy the circus. They just let it go, fellas. Just let it go.
If it does go to CAS, I'm going to order a pizza and just enjoy that whilst the trial happens. It's a bit of a tribute.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to this morning's game. Panathinaikos Kifisia played away. Originally, no away fans were allowed for this one. However, Panathinaikos fans did buy up some tickets. If you watched from outside the stadium,
not gate 13 though.
Wasn't
just fans.
Panathinaikos fans, yeah. No, if you see the screens, no colors, jerseys, scarves, anything like that. Obviously, we've seen with results that it's not an easy place to get results. We saw Ike recently drop points there, 1-1. Kifisia haven't obviously delivered on the winning stage, only winning one game, but drawing 5. They're
newly promoted.
Newly promoted, yeah. But if you watch them and it reflect on our game, they're a team that is playing not to lose. They're not playing to win games. They're just playing not to lose. So what we saw today was, I like this lineup today. I did like the lineup today. Seren was decent. He's shifted back more into that 8 role. Birthday boy Mancini started. Hasn't started for a bit, but it was good to see him get a start. Sporter, very ineffective today. So what Kifisia did, for those that are watching, listening, Panathafan won 1-0, courtesy of a 60th minute rebound strike from Mancini. Very, very frustrating game. It wasn't the sense that we didn't play well. We actually played pretty good. Kifisia was just playing so condensed. So they were defending with almost 11 behind the ball the whole game. And we're just waiting for a counter-attack. Going through Tete, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
Physical player. Very strong,
good.
physical,
Quite
good. He almost scored for them as well. Lodigan pulled off a big save, then hit the side post after. But that gave us a bit of a scare. He was a physical presence throughout the game for them. They didn't really have anyone else that did too much. They were just defending so deep. They did give the wings a little bit of space. Our attacking wide men, which is the difference between what you see with Rennes. Rennes were man marking our wingers, making sure that they went free while our wingers were a little bit more loose. So we had a goal, I believe, in like the 20th, 25th.
Earlier, wasn't it?
No, it was around the 20th, 25th. Sorry,
I thought you're talking about.
So Mancini broke down on the wing with the through ball. That part got ruled offside. He cut it back for Aitor tap in. It was good to see also Aitor start and get minutes. These are the kind of games that I was hoping he'd get legs, not bring him into European games where he's still not ready. I called that out in the last podcast. He wasn't ready. So it's good that these are the games that he's coming on and playing, getting those extended minutes. My first opinion was it wasn't offside when you just look at it. I think I'm a bit skeptical on the VAR lines, how they were drawn and at what point. But yeah, it was a game that was, we just needed that goal to open up Kifisia to get them to stop defending with 11. They started attacking a little bit more, but ineffective attacks. Like we were just too good. We saw Zeka come on as a centre back. It's still, I'm just questioning that. It's a head scratcher for me. Instead of promoting a youth kid that can play the centre back role, we're throwing in Zeka in a centre back role. Not a fan of it. But we held on for the 1-0 win. Like I said, in a place that few teams have dropped points there. Gives you a play not to lose as well. So it was a trap game. This would have been a perfect game that we would typically drop points at. But we found the quality enough to get that win.
8 from 8 against the Minnows so far this season, the non-derby games. Away record, 6 games, 6 wins, 16 goals scored, 2 goals conceded against. Can't ask for much more. This is, as you said, you don't need to go in too much detail in this game other than it was a must win and we delivered. We did what we had to do. It was that was approaching towards that hour mark. If we didn't score soon, it would have got really, really edgy. So the goal came at a great time. But once the first one came, never in doubt. For Kifisia, they're newly promoted. They've got to play like that. Like everyone, myself included, I would have had them to finish dead last this season. Now, I don't think it's going to be the case.
You think Ivan's got a long-term plan here? Because he's rotating the team a fair bit.
A lot.
And it's unlike Ivan, right? But then again, he didn't have a squad to rotate in previous years. But do you feel as if he's really sort of rotating the team heavily now with a view that come playoffs, he's going to then settle on a starting 11 he can trust.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
For
that
sure.
was our issue last season where we didn't have depth, so we couldn't really rotate. We got depth this year, but I think our defense is really thin, and we're not promoting young kids, especially to get a few minutes. Like, someone like
Personally, yeah.
Hey, obviously that us just I don't have an issue
Exactly.
just giving them minutes, especially in these easier sort of games. Not even making the bench to throw in Zeka. I just think we're doing a charity for him, like a final thank you.
But is that because, and this is just me thinking out loud, right? I'm not saying I'm right, but is that because he knows that come playoffs, players like Sidera and Vikai he knows they won't be there, so that's why he doesn't put minutes into it?
Yeah, for sure.
Potentially.
For sure. Personally, I agree with Sturge. I'd love to see Siveras or Fike get a run, but we know Ivan is set in his ways, and we know Ivan won't give him a go. He was reluctant. Look how long it took Vayanidis and Ioannidis to be fully integrated, to be the first choice players in their respective positions, and they earned his trust over a long period of time. I think his philosophy, he wants to avoid what happened last season, where we led and fell away in the playoffs, as you said, Banafa. I think he wants it's a win at all cost mentality. In other words, and we're going to get onto the signings later and all that. It's not much thought for the future compared to Bulk, for instance, with their young kids coming through. He's whatever it takes to win right here, right now on the spot.
If you look at, and I'm glad Sturgey called out Aitor starter for the first time, and it was Aitor and Mancini on either wing for the first time this season as a result. And so he's not rotating like a predictable ways either. It's always a sort of fresh starting 11, and it was always
even Lodigin.
Yeah, and Lodigin, it's good to see Lodigin start. I mean,
great.
He's always
minutes,
But each game is always a tweak. It's something new that we're seeing. Okay, that wasn't in the last game. Well, that wasn't in the previous game, and that's why I sort of sense that maybe that's part of his plan, and it's not just him rotating players because he feels like a player's unfit. And going back against Sturge, he made a lot of good points earlier about his fixation with substituting at set minutes in the game, like the 70th minute. And I feel like as a very heavy sports scientist influence saying that, to maximize player health and injuries, you substitute at this minute, which, as you know, sports scientists can do that sort of stuff. And I feel like maybe then his rotation is set around that as well. Give these players X amount of minutes or X amount of games to be able to demonstrate the ability then to be peaking at the right time of the season.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here because otherwise some of it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and we saw last season we fell away in January and in the playoffs, so could be something. But yeah, obviously with the centre backs, we've obviously lost two centre backs at the moment. Magnuson, potentially March, April, he'll be back, and Palmer Brown has that question mark with what seemed like a fairly innocent injury that would have been 2 weeks initially. He's not even recovered yet, which is the strange one. So
why are they hiding that?
Well, I want to get my kids Where's Wally books and try to find Palmer Brown in one of those because the guy's missing. He's meant to be 1 or 2 weeks off, wasn't he?
Yeah. Now it's been pushed back till early December. It's been pushed back again.
So it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off, probably a month, not playing, if not more.
More, yeah.
So it will take a little bit for him to get back into it as well. So, yeah, because when he came off, it was a half-time and it didn't look like he was injured or anything. It was a half-time sub, so you would have thought it would have been a tactical reason or something, but just don't know.
Why are they hiding it? What's the club got? The fans are going to get more on their backs by them hiding it.
it's also Kleinheisler as well. I mean, he was meant to be a week or two out. He
Yeah.
was out for what, a couple of months.
Yeah, wow.
I think he made the squad for this game. He obviously didn't play. That was the first time in a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's obviously issues with him at the moment. We'll talk about that in a couple of segments as well with Kleinheisler. But yeah, there's obviously players that are not fitting the system. So we'll have to, we'll cover that off. Not in the next
Again, though,
segment.
there are a lot of issues as we've scratched the surface. Really, there are a lot of issues still, but we're still first, 4 points ahead of second. Imagine if it all clicks.
No, well, I feel like there's teams that are vulnerable this season. So Ike's a little bit more vulnerable in the Greek league. Olympiakos, we're seeing their vulnerabilities as well. I think, like I said, I think PAOK still has one of the best teams. They just don't have a good coach. So this title race is going to get very close, and there's at the moment 4 teams that are there. And we'll go with which will lead us into our scheduling. We're going to play our 3rd away game in a row in the next Greek domestic league against Aris. That's straight after the Villarreal game. So we'll talk about Villarreal first, and then what the fixtures look like in December. Villarreal came off a 3-1 loss against Atletico Madrid. They're sitting 14th in the Spanish league. So another team that is not playing well, inconsistent, being bad in Spain. We smashed them in Athens. Even though it was 2-0, we played fantastic. Also to reflect, if you minus the last and second last team that have woeful defenses in Spain, Villarreal has the worst defense, equal 3rd worst defense in Spain, including last and second last. So we'll talk Villarreal first. I'd have to think going to the Villarreal game after the international break, there's a chance. I can't see why we don't have a chance against them. They've got a little bit of European pedigree. They've won the Europa League before, recently in the last couple of years, but that's not the same squad. They don't have the same manager. Their manager has been sacked this season already from memory. They're not performing. They're really bad at the moment. And I think it's a game we can take something away. I have that confidence. The way we're performing, the way we're playing, if we get the lineup right, it's a game that we can take points from.
Yeah, as you said, there's a winning mentality there. This squad is now used to winning, especially because domestically we've got such a good record. So let's see closer, because we've got to navigate our way through the international break first and foremost. They've got to go away, come back unscathed, play well for their countries like the Slovenians, the Serbs, and Forti, and obviously very crucially come back unscathed, and then we'll attack it.
Yeah, I think compared to Villarreal, we've got less internationals, so it's less potential worries for us.
And their coach, as you said, has already been sacked this season. We mentioned that earlier. They got a replacement, don't they?
Yeah, they did get a replacement. I don't recall who, but
because I read somewhere they were linked with the Marseille coach that we beat when we beat Marseille, and then they sacked him.
Yeah.
Again, this is all media talk. Who knows? But I don't know who their coach is at the moment, though.
I think they got appointed soon after we beat them, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, just reading the news right now, they've sacked their second coach.
That's it.
Pacheta. They sacked Pacheta, and they are going to replace the former Marseille coach, Marcelino.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
That's what I read.
Full circle. Marcelino got sacked after the Marseille game with us. He blamed his exit or his sacking on us, and just whatever. So full circle. So even more of an opportunity to just stick it right up to him as well, which
the game's in 2 weeks' time,
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks.
so he's not going to really be on the ground for that long, is he?
No, with the international break,
He's probably not going to get. He'd be lucky to get one game before our game.
yeah, he's got one game with a home game against Osasuna, and then it's us.
So that's perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
They're going to be unsettled. They're playing crap. We got a coach who's even, I don't rate him as a coach at all, but he's not going to have enough time to change it up and make them a much better team. They're ripe for the picking, and I think that I'm much more confident going into this game than I have been for either of the Rennes games. So, and the other thing as well, I'm always a big fan of certain teams you match up against well, and certain teams you don't. And obviously, Rennes, we did not match up well at all. Whereas Villarreal, we saw it in the home leg, we destroyed them. It should have been more than 2-0, as I'm sure you both agree. So, even if it's Spain, I think we're a chance of getting a result.
The only thing is they were massively rotated in Athens. Let's see how seriously they take it in Spain. That's the only thing I'll say on that.
But they did
Other than
sub
that,
on
you're
all
right.
their starters. A lot of their key starters subbed on in the second half, and they did not
they were.
look any
They
better.
were. Yeah.
And to take away from that, they're not going to play the same style as Rennes, where they'll just sit back. And I think that will suit us. I don't think we can play against teams, especially quality teams, or better teams than the Greek Super League standard, I should say, that can sit back. We saw that with Rennes. So I don't think Villarreal is just going to sit back. If we can expose them the same way we did in the first leg, it'll be a more difficult task in Spain. I'm confident that we can get something from this game, whether it's 1 point, whether it's a win. I won't be as confident as a win, but hopefully we score then just more from the penalty spot, because that's what we've done the last 2 games. We've only scored from the penalty spot. We haven't scored an open goal in Europe since the opening game, so let's hope for something.
I'm actually hoping that Juanca is fit and starts that game as well. Because I think that being on Spanish soil where he's played in the past, they have a point to prove, and he'd be fired up for that game. And I think defensively, Mladenovic, we know that he's as an attacking fullback, he's not defensively minded as much. So that's probably the one player. And it's not often I say it because Juanca's been ordinary of late, but I'd like to see him get a start for that game if he's fitting well.
Just for the sake of rotation as well. We said last time he was on, Mladenovic has played a lot recently because of that Grotida incident, and it's killing us because it's Mladenovic every game.
And he's not going to get a rest because he's has been playing for the Serbian national team too.
Yeah. But the thing is, he plays more of that midfield role with the Serbian team, and that's his natural position. So he's obviously shifted into more of a left back, which is a little bit more unnatural, which is probably why he got caught out, especially in that second Rennes goal, not being aware of the defensive duties. Yeah, I'd love to see Juanca make a return. Whether he plays that or not remains to be seen, because before that Villarreal game, we do have Aris away. We've got an interesting history with Aris, especially away. We've had semi-decent results away. Last year in the league, can't remember the playoff result. We did win via Palacios goal, close to the last season.
We drew at home though in the playoffs.
Yeah, last game. Yeah, I can't remember the playoff result, the one there, but we do have.
It was a late off a corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was off a
late on off a corner.
Was it a bit of a scramble in the box?
Yeah,
yeah.
That's it. I think we had rotated. The thing is with Ardis, it's a different. They go through coaches, player turnover sky high. You don't know what you're going to get with them, like compared to the last time we played them.
I think
I saw highlights of their recent game. They beat Volos. If Volos had a big chance, if they score that goal, their fullback, different game. Ardis went on to win and they were the better side, but if Volos score the first goal, I reckon that game ends differently.
Yeah, I don't think Aris are the same team or player personnel compared to last year. Last year they disappointed. They had some good players on their list, but it's Aris. They're like
Yeah.
the Spurs essentially. Like that was, stuff it up. So I expect more the same.
Their striker, I'm not going to pronounce the name right. Moron.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny. Is it moron? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm on
it
about
is.
right. He's the top scorer in the Greek league.
He scored 6 goals. I don't know if that's top. He scored it. He scored the penalty for their second goal to make it 2-0.
Yeah, he scored the penalty, but if you look at the stats against Volos, they didn't. If you look at it, it's like 13 shots to 7 in Volos's favor.
Yeah. As I said, if Volos took their chances, that big one early in the second half, different game.
Yeah, it just looked like it was a quality issue rather than anything else. We know Volos is coming last, and it just looks like that. I don't know the quality of the shots or anything like that. The stats don't point full picture, but
we have got a good track record playing Harry Love away against Adi, so you'd like to think that would be a clear favourite to get the win. And as both of you boys point out, they're not the same team as they were last year. I mean, Lewis Palmer was their best player last year, and he's obviously gone. And I think who was the centre back that we were going to sign?
Brabets.
That's it.
He played.
Clown.
He's injured as well, right?
Thought he played.
Is he back? Yeah, I know he had a bit of an injury. He was out for a while. I wasn't sure if he was back or not.
Yeah, and I'll just double check quickly. Yeah, he was back. Brabec. They got Ferrari. I think he's semi decent for them. But yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't Brabec. It was our former player. What's his name?
The guy the Argentine that played in Saudi Arabia.
He left us.
Yeah, I think he's injured. Yeah, I think he's injured. They do have also Lazaros, one of our former players who's played for every single Greek club in the top 6, which is hilarious. Velez,
yeah. Fran Velez.
Fran Velez, yeah, he's not in here. I just remembered that name. But yeah, look, obviously that Moron Garcia for them is obviously going to be the main threat. They're going to probably heavily rely on him to do the workload. Yeah, interesting game. It is the third game away, Greek League, and 5th overall in all competitions as well, which is a bit frustrating. Fixture scheduling hasn't been kind, and the December fixtures get horrific after that. So within that, we've got Olympiakos in the Greek Cup soon after the Orphy game. So after Vilhena we play Orphy, then soon after that we play at home against Olympiakos, and then again another quick turnaround to play another Greek League game, and then we play a European game, and then after the European game, short turnaround. Like you see, scheduled for the 18th and 21st. So we got Maccabi on the 15th, Volos on the 18th away, Yanina on the 21st. So December is crazy with the scheduling. Very crazy with the scheduling. Doesn't favor, but it wouldn't favor Ike. It wouldn't favor Polk.
Yeah.
Maybe of course either. That's
right. That's where you want to be. This is what we craved all this time, to be playing football, a lot of football, and see the club alive and kicking and contesting and pushing in all competitions. This is what we wanted. This all along. This was the aim last season to be pushing, kicking on in Europe, and we're here now. What I was going to say though, you're right. We've got these 3 away games now. Fast forward a bit, when the business end of the season before the playoffs, we're going to have in the same identical order 3 home games.
Yeah, yeah. But, what works in Bulk's favour, for instance, they played all their big 3 games away from home.
Yes. That's the concern.
Yeah, that's something to think about in terms of that.
Again, you don't know. You don't know. I mean, our Achilles heel has been not putting away the smaller sides in away games. We've ticked those boxes so far this season. They're gonna have to come to Leofordos, which should, in theory, be in our favour.
I think what's going to be maybe a bigger factor this year versus last year is the winter transfer season for player sales. I mean, Costandelia at a park, the kid's future superstars, no question about it. I wonder if he's going to get picked up now or whether it's going to be in the summertime, but he'll be gone. There's no question about him being sold.
Not now though.
Well, I hope for his benefit, he continues his form, but then there's Footy as well. Are there going to be offers for him in winter or is there going to be summertime? Because there will be offers again.
Yeah, I reckon summertime for him.
Summer. Winter is what Sturge was saying off air before those types of players.
Just little, plug-in players. Yeah,
plug in, and we'll see it in the signings. We're not going to spend crazy money either.
And we'll move on from the scheduling and we'll talk about the player personnel because there's a lot of chatter in the newspapers. We try and not listen to them, but it's usually Greek media talking crap. But I think there's a little bit more substance with these ones. So we'll start off with the potential player exits. We know Choke is completely out of favour with the club. He rejected any loan moves within Greece, and with that, time was running out in the window to try and get rid of him. He hasn't really featured. He's been playing in the Panathafan B team, so he has been demoted for the B team. He does sit from time to time on the bench for the main team, but not getting any minutes. So I feel he's going to be the one to find a new club in the winter transfer. I won't be too upset seeing him gone. He's not really a player to the up standard. I think he was brought in just as a squad player, really, at best, on the rotation. So he would be definitely one of the exits. And recently there's a lot of chatter about Klein Heisler, who is also on the outer. He did suffer the injury where he's been out for 1 month or 2 months, but once again, fairly suspicious injury with him as well. He's been on the outer. There was obviously a lot of talks in the summer as well about what he will bring, where he will fit into this squad. Now it's ramped up, especially from today, that he's completely on the outer. So there's another one that could be seeing the exit door in the winter, which would be ending his stay of 1 year exactly at the club. I felt a bit weird with him. I don't think he got proper game time under Jova. He was deployed in multiple various positions. In the preseason, they were saying the number 8 role would be something he would be fighting for, but we didn't even get to see too much of that at all. So
more of a 10, isn't he? Number 10?
Yeah, I think he's definitely more of a 10, but preseason chatter, he was fighting for that number 8 role if he was going to slip in that role, but he obviously hasn't won over Ivan at all. So there's another player that could be seeing the outer. And obviously there was last year rumours when he signed for us was he didn't really want to sign for us. There was another offer, but didn't really substantiate. So that's obviously he'd be the one that would likely move on. What about you guys? What do you guys think of that? Anything further? Player exodus?
I don't think we're going to be seeing the Chokai or Klein Heisler for the exact reasons that you said, Sturge. So there's probably not a lot more I could add to that. I thought Klein Heisler was more of an 8 than a 10. But it's funny, right? Because we never really got to truly appreciate his best role And
Yeah.
wasn't he actually playing as a winger?
Played on the
season?
wings. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
But he was a natural winger. You could tell the wing wasn't his role.
so I sort of feel like, yeah, he never got the full opportunity to prove himself. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? I'm not going to lose sleep over that. And Chokai got a few opportunities, never really did much. The only other part that would be motivating the players to go is that I think both of them played for the national teams. I think Chokai was in the Albanian national team and Kleinheisler for Hungary before they came to us, and they've since fallen out of favour. So I suspect that for their own national team careers, they'd want to be getting more regular playing time somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've been both dropped. So, yeah, I agree with that.
For us, what's going to be in it for us? I'd imagine realistically, it's okay. We're not going to get a cent for him. Hopefully, Kleinheisler, we can get some sort of a fee. He signed back then a year ago, 3-year deal, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was,
So
yeah.
hopefully we can get something somewhat decent. Hungarian international. Before he came to us, he had a good spell in Croatia. Amounts, I've got no idea what we're going to get. I don't know. Hopefully we can get something and put that towards a centre back.
If my memory serves me right, which I'm almost certain it won't, Chokai, we paid €1 million for.
Yeah, and Kleinheisler was free.
Was he free or was it about 500?
We paid a fee.
Did he pay?
As well.
Yeah, it's about 500. If I'm
I
not
thought
mistaken.
he had to break his contract to be a free agent. Okay.
No, we had to pay fee.
Okay.
Yeah, 500 is the number that.
Yeah, it was either that 500 to 800 mark.
Yeah, it was less
Okay.
than a bill, that's for sure. And I think, unfortunately, with Chokai, we're not going to get most of that, if any of that $1 million back.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. What is interesting to see is that Kurbelis is most likely going to be terminated as well. So that's going to be a interesting question mark on whether we will look to bring him in. I don't think that will be the case because he did leave on a really bad terms, especially with Alafouzos. I think he was in the right to question the lack of ambition in that winter transfer.
Yeah.
That was the big call out. So I can't see the club, and he declined our offer as well and signed for overseas club. But will his frustrations last year, will they reoccur again? Especially this winter, where if we're leading after this horrible fixture list coming up, if we're still got whatever gap that we've got, how ambitious will the club be? Will they get on top of it straight away? Will they wait last minute? So it's going to be interesting. We've got interesting next 2 months that could obviously shape what happens with Europe. We're going to decide or we'll find out, and what happens in the Greek league as well as we approach the playoffs.
And in the meantime, we got renewals as well in negotiations. So obviously, Brignoli has made noises about he's in discussions and it's all going well, which is a great sign. I'm not sure if they've started talking to Palacios as to whether he's going to renew or not.
There was talks that they were going to offer him a new deal.
Okay.
That was one. And obviously Lodigan re-signed as well. He renewed. So that's good depth to have. So yeah, we'll see what they want, what happens from there. But they're obviously taking their sweet ass time with the Brignoli deal. Hopefully with the international breaks, they can just get it sorted out then and there, because he'd be eligible for that free transfer come January 1st. So
he's happy with us, though. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
The only thing I can see him really would be going back to Italy. So if a semi-decent offer came through.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just about money. I think it's also about prestige of the club. I think he'd go back. And I remember reading it somewhere that if it was just a Serie A B team or a Serie A team that is likely to get relegated, that potentially that's not going to be enough for him. But if it was a mid-strength or a top-notch team, then obviously he's not going to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one deal hopefully we tie up. Obviously, the fans adore him, especially how he took it personally, especially after the first goal with his sorry message. The fans really backed him. They wanted the club to ASAP renew his contract. So there's obviously a lot of confidence and love from the fans for him. It's just club getting their shit together and just getting that deal done.
The incomings are going to be more fascinating for me.
And I know we're only in November, mid-November, but
Centre backs are given.
Yeah, I think we can talk about what we'd like to see come through. There was chat that it would just be cheap free transfers style players that will be coming in. But for me, I see and a lot. I've seen obviously the chatter online that they want a new midfielder, but it's not where the priority lies, especially with 2 injuries out. Shankerville is a bit injury prone. We have seen it. We need a centre back ASAP. We need a centre back, and I'd even look for a left back. There's obviously also discussion that Zagaritis, former Pau youth player who went to Parma, wants to leave Parma, come back to Greece, because he's obviously seen the success of Vayanidis. I would bring him in. I'll definitely bring him in. There's obviously talks that he's interested, or there's chat with Olympiakos, and I can't really see Olympiakos because they've got the 2 left backs. They got their 2 left backs. The Argentine young kid that they signed in this transfer, and they've got the older player as well. So I can't really see space for him at Olympiakos. Ike, maybe. It just depends on what our club does, if they're willing to take the same approach as Vayanidis and bring him home. They're definitely the 2 that I'd like to see. Gurbelis, I'm on the fence about. Where do you put him? Do you bring him in as a defender? We need a left-footed defender, because while Jedva is doing well, you can see playing on that left sort of side, can sometimes get caught out or a bit under pressure, especially with his play the ball style. So
it's not his position. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Palmer Brown will help him because it's going to complement him better because he's a bit more aggressive. And as Panathafan said, he's going to shift to his more natural side.
But the issue with Palmer Brown is this going to be a continuous thing, like having
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next.
We've seen
Palmer Brown,
it's an injury that has taken 2 months.
Exactly. Not only that, we can't expect miracles from him when he's barely kicked the ball for us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, interesting.
It's going to be interesting. So you're going back to what you said, Sturge, about whether it's a big transfer or not, or a free transfer. I mean, yeah, I think there's every chance it's going to be a loan, 6-month loan from a player who's not getting minutes at another club.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see what type of player that's going to be. But the one thing I will call out is that I think Ivan, in an interview through the week, actually made a comment about looking for players in the transfer period that they're going to need reinforcement, which is unusual for him. It's not too often that he makes statements like that. So clearly they're already hunting in the market. They must have some certain targets. And you like to think that when the transfer window opens, they're going to move pretty quick to secure a player at least. Speaking of which, when is the transfer window open? Is it start of December or
January?
January. Okay.
Yeah. And that's obviously January last year for us was horrific. We did see
too slow.
We went on like 2 out of 7. We went in that January period, so we know that was crucial. Obviously, need to jump on top of it straight away.
Maximum 2 players, maximum centre back and somewhere else, whether it's midfield, wing, anywhere else, left back, anywhere. Won't be more than 2. as you said as well, won't be big bucks. More than likely it'll be a loan because if they're all fit, we've already got 4 centre backs, albeit Jedvai's on loan.
If you think two's enough, I'll pose the Kurbeli's question. Was the club ambitious? We signed 2 players last year as well during the winter transfer, and he said that was not ambitious of the club. Do you go 2? Do you go 3? Where
I'm just being realistic. What I think will happen.
But where do you think the gaps lie, and how much would you honestly, realistically want?
Oh, I said I'd like centre backs. Obviously, a given. That's the top priority, and I hope we spend there. Doubt it. I'd like to see an extra option in the wings. Now I think the goalposts have shifted a bit, and we've got priorities elsewhere. But I'd like to see something different in the wings as well.
I don't know for wings priority. We've got 4 wingers. Bernard 5.
But Bernard Vicari has to be.
Yeah, I prefer Bernard on that 10 role. But if you look at positioning and depth, we do have 5 wingers. So
because you look, Verbitz doesn't play in Europe. We've got Aitor still trying to find his feet. Palacios on the wrong side of 30. And then there's just Mancini. That's it. Let's not putting down Palacios because he's had some very good games for us this year.
I'm with Sturge. I don't think we need a winger. I think that centre back, yeah, goes that saying. Left back, yes, Sturge, I agree with you. And then another left back because Hankar is probably like his last season. He's out of contract in a year.
He'll be out of contract.
And the injuries have shown that we've got too much reliance on one player there. They're the 2 standouts for me. Any other position, I can't justify again. I can't see a justification for it. And strikers, we'll call out striker start of season.
Yeah, no, not now.
Not now. You got Yeremayev, who's got the best goal to minute ratio. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I had to say that. But yeah, it's the back line, nothing else.
Yeah. If anything, I'm hesitant to say the 8th position. Probably look at maybe the 6th. You got Aral, Ruben there.
Zeka.
Oh yeah, Zeka. Yeah,
because
he's been playing.
I was thinking this earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So it probably look there. Look, there was obviously at the end of summer the talk of bringing that young Cypriot winger from, I believe it was Upwell. We're too late, obviously, with that. We'd be surprised if we just go back in for him. But yeah, interesting. Do we go striker?
Nah, doubt it.
I don't know because we got 40. I consider him not as a striker. I consider him as a centre forward. Sporter, 1 every 2-3 games, he's good. Games goes missing in. We saw today against Kifisia, he went missing. Even the previous game, Panathafan, the 5-0 win, he scored 2 goals, assisted on 1, but he only had 2 chances, including the penalty that he scored. So, is he doing enough? Is he threatening enough? That's another question. Even though I found he was great that game, but striker, you expect a little bit more, a few more shots from him.
Yeah. His all-round game is nowhere near as good as Forty's. Nowhere near.
Yeah, but for Sporta, he's a striker.
Different, different place.
You see him in the Slovenian system.
Slovenian.
Gets goals, gets assists. I don't know. I'm a bit torn on Sporta. Like, I do like him, but you see sometimes good, but you see sometimes bad from him as well. And I think I'm still a bit off from him, especially from last season. Even like with the penalty when he came on, even though he scored the winner against Lamia, that penalty again, he's missed 2 penalties this season. So just I don't know. I'm still a bit torn on Sport. I think he's having a better season than last season, but is he meeting expectations? I think it's fair to say he's just got a pass.
That's a good way to describe it. It's a pass, but
Yeah.
not setting the world on fire.
Yeah, correct.
And I think that's what we really want as a striker, don't we? We want a striker that you can see the opposition's going to really be scared of that
They
player.
say
Like they're gonna-
Berg, Lazeja.
Yeah. And he's not that. He's never been that and never will be that. But Ivan loves him.
But which is strange considering where Jeremejeff is not getting minutes. He's come on, scored 2 goals in those limited minutes. So it's just head scratching for me why we signed him in the first place. We sent him on loan, and then we've got him in our team, but he's still not getting minutes, especially against these easier opposition. When we're winning up big, like, why not throw him in? It's still head scratcher. Even Forty came on against in the morning against Kifisia, and did we need Forty to come on? Don't know.
We don't play with 2 strikers either. That's the other thing.
Just give him a rest, switch it up, see what Jeremejeff could have offered in this game. Give him minutes. Like, I'd like to see a little bit more of that so we can pass a proper judgment on him.
I agree. 100% agree. I was hoping he was going to come on. And give Forty a bit of a break as well.
Yeah, he's got the international games. I think both friendlies as well for Greece have. I don't think we've got...
What France? France is competitive.
France,
but it's a dead rubber, really.
Yeah, we've got New Zealand as well in a friendly. Barring a miracle, where Greece will finish 3rd in that. Would be good to see 40 start. But I think big news as well is that Vayanidis got his call-up into the national team, which is good on him. I think well deserved. At the start of the season, I think we said he'll be the most improved player. Or the player to be most improved talent. He's got the Greek call-up. I think he's probably the second best right back in that Greek squad behind Boldock. I've got him ahead of Rota.
Got
him ahead of Rota for sure. Just don't know the fitness of Boldock and what approach Poyet goes with as well.
Baldock's back. He played on the weekend for Sheffield United. Yeah.
I'd suspect that Baldock will get the call-up for the Greek squad to start. New Zealand friendly, you want to see more fringe players getting the opportunities in that Greek team. So I'm happy for Vayanidis getting that call up. Do we have anything we want to add before?
Before you guys will probably touch on the basketball.
Yes.
The EuroLeague, the win in Germany. Before I let you guys get to that, I just wanted to very briefly touch on the fans that travelled, that did the double, really. I'm so envious of them, eh? We're on the other side of the world here in Australia. They're lucky bastards. They went to bloody France. Then a day later, they go to Germany. They get the double, the two, experience the best of both worlds. The Corto Magico videos with the Eiffel Tower in the background. Oh, that was just brilliant. And the atmosphere is generated. That's all you could hear. We were out singing the home fans for large spells in the Europa League game.
Yeah. It was big result. We came off a big win in the Greek league prior to that. So played against Alba Berlin. German team, they're not setting the world on fire.
Yeah.
But we dominated them. We dominated them from the second quarter onwards. 60 points, first half points. That set the tone for the match. Once again, Vildoza had a big game on his return. There was obviously a lot of chat about whether Vildoza will leave. There's a chat that he might go to Italy. He's not fitting in well with Slukas. Mitoglu was a beast as well. Grigonis, who was probably a little bit more on the outer, did well. He did fairly well. Our new superstar signing, Kendrick Nunn, got minutes right at the end. 6 points, but he didn't really score from, I think he had 3 attempts from the 3-point line, something there. He's a little bit more prolific. As a scorer, he didn't get in there. Even against this morning against Ardis, where we beat them in Thessaloniki by 10, he didn't score. So that might raise a couple of eyebrows from the Pole fans, but if you watch NBA and basketball, you know he's gonna step up and just once he finds his feet. He's obviously hasn't been with the team, so scoring for him will come back to him naturally, especially where you have a little bit more time in Europe. I think he'll do well. But yeah, massive fans contingency. They made it feel more of a home game in Germany.
In the 8th spot now, even though there's been more losses than wins.
Yeah, we're in the 8th spot.
Very early still.
Yeah. But I think they've implemented this year a play-in system, which is pretty dumb. I think it's between 7th to 10th. I think it's 2 spots that go through. At the moment, we are sitting with 8, but we do have a couple of easy games. We've got Zalgiris at home, the Lithuanian team, and I believe we have Virtus Bologna as well. So they're doing not bad. So they're sitting above us, but the team that we've got, this is where it counts. The quality of our team counts. We should put away Zalgiris and we'll see what happens with Virtus Bologna, but I think it's slowly coming together. What the team that has been ascended. We've got a couple of injuries. We've got injury to sorry, it's his name's
Juancho.
Sorry,
Juancho.
Juancho's injured, and Papa
Petro's out for a while.
Petro's out as well. Yeah, hand injury. So Juancho finger, I believe, and Papa Petro injury as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in terms of our depth, but Mitoglu has been an absolute beast. Beasting it up since the Olympiakos game where he bossed them and then just taking that form. Really turning into a scorer who wasn't really renowned too much as a scorer, but he's just making the plays and the buckets. So he's been a standout.
It's good to see fringe players like the Polish centre, Bolcharowski, starting to get a bit more action and points on the board as well. So he's starting to make it a little bit more of a presence on the court. But I think going back to what you said, Bill Dozer having a good game. I was more than welcome that.
Yeah,
his start and all the rumors out there about him. So he's knocking down those threes finally, and with a bit more ease, which is good.
There was talk about the Polish centre, so Balczarowski to go on loan. He hadn't been performing, but I think his opportunity is coming now. When I remember we talked about him when he signed him, I said he was more of a very physical presence. So let's see if we see the best of him in the next few games where he'll be getting a few more minutes. So
but in terms of even Sluka, he's not at 100% of his top form, peak form in this squad so far. So early days, like I said, but there's still plenty of upside there too as his team starts to find a bit of a rhythm. But we haven't beaten anyone of any proven substance yet either. So we got absolutely smashed against Barcelona the week before. That was a poor showing. So not a hell of a lot to get too excited about, but more positive than what it was a few weeks ago.
I think there was pretty good response from Jerry and Grant for maybe played for my Bulls as well as a couple of other teams. Turned more into a playmaker role this morning against Addis, notched up 10 assists. Only scored 9 points, but he's notched up 10 assists. So he's not really more of that traditional playmaker himself, but today was outstanding. I think man of the match as well. So it's good to see that he's stepping up as well, because we're gonna need everyone at this point. We made some big splashes. It's time for everyone to stand up. And with that, do we have anything else we want to cover? Anything final messages?
Just
All I can
2 more
say is
December.
I'm looking forward to getting a bit of sleep over the next 2 weeks.
That's it.
Apart from the Greek games, we do have a couple of weeks off. Which is also a bit disappointing when internationals come around, especially in this window as well, where it's almost a dead rubber. So that's a bit frustrating. I think we'll do the players some good. Obviously, coming from France, then going again away to play Kifisia, give the players a bit of a break as well. Come in fresh for a very tough congested fixture. So once again, want to reiterate that the next game Panathafan will play will be against Addis, 26th of November local time, which is the Sunday night. Kickoff around 9 hours, so about 8:30 Greek time if you're in Australia or Sydney, Melbourne. 5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Not too bad. So we do have Addis then later on in Thursday night Greece, America, or Thursday day America, Thursday night Europe. We play Villarreal in Spain. For those in Australia, it's 7 a.m. on that Friday morning. So yeah, the fixture congestion does begin. Yeah, very, very important. As I said, I think the next 2 months, that December, January, I feel like not only will it shape the season, but I think it will have implications the next couple of years as well, especially if we do reinforce and then how that reinforcement takes place with the remainder of the season and then our European run. So that's why I feel that these 2 months are critical, that we get it right, we come out unscathed and we do maintain some sort of lead at the top of the league.
Yeah, that's paramount for now. That and getting third are the two big ones. And third in the Europa League group stage.
Yeah.
We can do it. Further.
Yeah. Bring it on. This is what we want to be. Playing games. 2 games a week.
That's what we want.
This international breaks come at a shit time for us fans, because it's another bloody the third one in 3 months. And I like international football, but it's what Sturge said. This one's means nothing. New Zealand's a friendly. It's not even televised in Australia. The France game now unfortunately means nothing. So, but it will do the players the world of good. They need the break.
Yeah, definitely.
And I look forward not to having to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's all right. I think the next podcast will be handled by our American contingent, where they'll obviously discuss the Villarreal Addis game and anything that happens in between then. If any other news, or there's a potential of CAS. There's obviously another potential big news item coming out as well, which will free our name, clean up our image events. So obviously I won't discuss there. Looks like the certain club has been lying about and covering up for what has happened. So we'll wait and see on that. And looks like our boys were right as well. So I'll leave it with that.
No shocks there. No shocks.
Thank you, Panathafan. Thank you, Nick. Great podcast. And, well, won't see each other for at least now, 3 weeks. So it's going to be a while since we do our next chat. So yeah, enjoy the break. We'll obviously chat in socials, discuss.
We will.
All right, take care, boys.
Thanks, gents.
Thank you.